Discovery Houston, press to ATO.
Liftoff of mission 41D, the first flight of the Ever Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Stephen W. Boyce, Judge presiding.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, good morning, everyone. We're on the record on case CR 2221-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Daybell. This is the special sentencing proceeding that has been conducted last couple of days. The jury's been deliberating. The court is advised that the jury has reached a verdict on the special sentencing proceeding and the special verdict form. I'll note the state's present with the 4 prosecutors who've tried the case, Mr. Pryor and his client, Mr. Daybell, present as well. I'll also note there's a courtroom conduct order in effect. I'd appreciate everyone complying with that, as you all have throughout this trial. I will note on the record before we get to the verdict that we did have a jury question yesterday that the court answered, and I've provided the question and copies of the answer to counsel. In addition, a second question came in today. I did go on the record with that question and answer with counsel and the defendant present, returned that response to the jurors. They've now reached a verdict in the case, so the court is going to have the jurors brought in and have the verdict delivered for reading.
It's a wild Saturday, sitting on pins and needles. They actually were at the Asian market when this came through.
Yeah. I think they gave us 15 minutes warning, so
Yeah,
I'm glad we made it just in time. So
just in time.
How's everybody's Saturday going?
It's great. Hopefully he gets the death penalty. That'll make like the perfect end to this saga.
I feel like he is. That's what my gut is telling me. And that was quick to come back for death penalty.
Yeah, somebody mentioned the Jodi Arias thing and they had found her guilty, but then when it came to sentencing, that's when the jury was like, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, you just know something you want to take lightly, so.
These guys came, I wonder if part of it is because they came down so hard on the LDS church. And they're like,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I didn't even think to look to see if they have the super chat.
All right, please.
Here comes the jury. How does he look? He looks the same. Oh,
Always looks the same. He's not wearing his red tie today.
no.
That's it.
Jury's all present. Counter for Your Honor.
Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court understands you've reached a verdict on the special verdict form. Is that correct? All right, Mr. Bailiff, if you would please return the special verdict form to the court, I'll review that.
Just let you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, the verdict form is somewhat long and complicated. The court is going to take a moment to review the form.
And they just go right into it, don't they? There's like no pomp and circumstance or anything.
I mean, what would they do?
I don't know.
They've been here for 9 weeks.
That's true.
That is cat that won't do anything. And then it's over. Then it's like, what am I gonna do with my time now?
Start crocheting, scrapbooking.
I'll start scrapbooking. Yeah, I'll scrapbook the trial case. Come on. Is he reading through the? Come on. He's like on the floor purring, staring at me.
And he won't get up.
He won't come out.
Winky, you've got issues, buddy.
All right, the court's reviewed the special verdict form. I do find it's been properly filled out by the jury foreperson as well as correctly signed and dated. At this time, I am going to request, Madam Clerk, Ms. Holstein, if you would please read the special verdict form.
There we go.
If you'd like to remain seated or standing, it's a long form and will take some time to read, but however is most comfortable for you, Madam Clerk, you may go ahead and read the special verdict form into the record.
I think we said we'd be happy either way.
In the District Court of the 7th Judicial District of the State of Idaho, in and for the County of Fremont, State of Idaho Plaintiff versus Chad Daybell Defendant, case number CR 22211623, special verdict. Part 1. We, the jury, render the following verdict on the alleged statutory aggravating circumstances. 1. Has the jury unanimously found that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following aggravating circumstance? The murder of Tylee Ryan was committed for remuneration, or the defendant employed another to commit the murder for remuneration or the promise of remuneration? Yes. 2. Has the jury unanimously found that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following aggravating circumstance? The murder of Joshua Jackson, hereinafter J.J. Vallow, was committed for remuneration, or the defendant employed another to commit the murder for remuneration or the promise of remuneration? Yes. 3. Has the jury unanimously found that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following aggravating circumstance. The murder of Tamra, hereinafter Tammy Daybell, was committed for remuneration, or the defendant employed another to commit the murder for remuneration, or the promise of remuneration. Yes. 4, has the jury unanimously found that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following aggravating circumstance? The murder of Tylee Ryan was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity. Yes.
Mhm.
5, has the jury unanimously found that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following aggravating circumstance? The murder of J.J. Vallow was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity. Yes. 6, has the jury unanimously found that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following aggravating circumstance? The murder of Tammy Daybell was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity. Yes.
Oh,
7,
that one interested. That
has
one
the
surprised
jury
me.
unanimously found that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following aggravating circumstance? By the murders or circumstances surrounding their commission, the defendant exhibited utter disregard for human life.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
8, has the jury unanimously found that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the following aggravating circumstance? The defendant, by his conduct, whether such conduct was before, during, or after the commission of the murders at hand, has exhibited a propensity to commit murder, which will probably constitute a continuing threat to society.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Yes. He's a
If
threat
you
to
answered no to
society.
each of the above questions, you do not need to answer any other questions. Simply have the presiding juror sign this verdict form and notify the bailiff that you are done. If you answered yes to any of the above questions, then please answer the questions in part 2.
Yes to every single one of them.
Yep.
He's a danger to society.
Part 2, we, the jury, render the following verdict on the weighing of all mitigating circumstances against the statutory aggravating circumstances. You are to only answer the following questions for those statutory aggravating circumstances for which you answered yes in part 1. 1, with respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that the murder of Tylee Ryan was committed for remuneration, or the defendant employed another to commit the murder for remuneration or the promise of
He's
remuneration,
slumped over now.
we unanimously
He's not
find
moving.
that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances are not sufficiently compelling to make imposition of the death penalty unjust. 2, with respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that the murder of Joshua Jackson, hereinafter J.J. Vallow, was committed for remuneration, or the defendant employed another to commit the murder for remuneration, or the promise of remuneration, we unanimously find that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances are not sufficiently compelling to make imposition of the death penalty unjust. 3, with respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that the murder of Tamra, hereinafter Tammy Daybell, was committed for remuneration, or the defendant employed another to commit the murder for remuneration or the promise of remuneration, we unanimously find that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances are not sufficiently compelling to make imposition of the death penalty unjust. 4, with respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that the murder of Tylee Ryan was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity, we unanimously find that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances are not sufficiently compelling to make imposition of the death penalty unjust.
Yep.
5, with respect to
Did we lose the mic?
It's back. 5, with respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that the murder of J.J. Vallow was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity, we unanimously find that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances.
Microphone issues.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to get a separate mic. Thank you.
So that means,
Yeah, there are no mitigating circumstances that would show that the death penalty is unjust, which means it is just because there are no
I'll
circumstances.
read 5 over.
they-
Yes, start with 5 again. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
5.
So it's death
Okay.
penalty, basically.
With respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that the murder of J.J. Vallow was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity, we unanimously find that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances are not sufficiently compelling to make imposition of the death penalty unjust. 6, with respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that the murder of Tammy Daybell was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, manifesting exceptional depravity, we unanimously find that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances are not sufficiently compelling to make imposition of the death penalty unjust. 7, with respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that by the murders or circumstances surrounding their commission, the defendant exhibited utter disregard for human life. We unanimously find that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances are not sufficiently compelling to make imposition of the death penalty unjust. 8, with respect to the statutory aggravating circumstance that the defendant, by his conduct, whether such conduct was before, during, or after the commission of the murders at hand, has exhibited a propensity to commit murder, which will probably constitute a continuing threat to society. We unanimously find that when weighed against this aggravating circumstance, all mitigating circumstances are not sufficiently compelling to make imposition of the death penalty unjust. Once you have completed part 2, please have the presiding juror sign this verdict form and notify the bailiff you are done. Dated this first day of June 2024 and signed by the presiding juror.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Clerk, for reading through the verdict form. Ladies and gentlemen, the court will note that given the complexity of this special verdict form, just I think in fairness to all those in attendance, including in particular victims and the parties, the layman's explanation of this verdict is that the jury has made a finding that it would be appropriate to impose the death penalty as it relates to counts 1 through 6 in the amended indictment. And so pursuant to Idaho Code 192515, the court is directed that the defendant would be sentenced to death on those counts. The court will take up a concluding sentencing proceeding. I also have additional counts of insurance fraud. I've discussed with counsel moving forward in a consolidated hearing. The court's proposing that we do that this morning, waiving the right to a pre-sentence investigation report under Criminal Rule 32A. Before I get there, just let me ask at this time of the jurors, is this your true and correct verdict that's been rendered in this case? Very well. Does the state wish to have the jury pulled on the special verdict form?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Does the defense wish to have the jury pulled on this special verdict form?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
death penalty.
Very well.
And no reaction.
As I
which
mentioned,
is
then
like a
that's the
statute, like-
result of the
Wow.
verdict form. The court would
Same
Wow.
thing.
then proceed with additional sentencing
Nothing.
on those 2 counts, as well as the counts 1 through 6 determined now by the
Who's he
jury.
looking at right now?
The
Mr.
judge.
Pryor,
Is
is
he
the
looking at
defense willing to move forward
that's
with
right,
a
'cause he's
consolidated hearing on those
catty-cornered,
counts this morning
or as they
without
say,
a pre-sentence
kitty-cornered.
investigation report?
As previously indicated, Judge, yes, we are.
Okay, is the state going to be ready to proceed with a sentencing on those issues as well?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counsel, I do want to take a brief recess just to briefly
Wow.
prepare for that, given the verdict, and I will come back on the bench. It really won't take long. I would suggest that a 30-minute recess. We'll come back on the record. The court will conclude with that sentencing hearing.
Death row.
So if everybody could be back here by 10 after, we'll have the jury return one last time to the jury room to wait for that final sentencing hearing. We'll conduct that in the presence of the jurors also, and then I'll have concluding instructions for the jurors. So we will be in recess for 30 minutes. We'll come back for that final stage of the proceeding. Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm not surprised. Like, that was not a shock to me at all.
Did you see Judge Boyce's tail, like in the middle of it? He
No, I was watching Chad.
And not one, I think that's what's been so shocking through this whole thing. Not one shred of emotion for himself, for the children, for Tammy. There was one time he got emotional during the 911 call.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
can't see.
I'm laughing at that because of the just how much he pisses me off.
Wow.
And the one emotion that he had was over his own voice.
Over his own voice.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean, it could also be too, it was like a fake emotion for Tammy. You know, I don't know though. But to have fake emotion for Tammy and not for the children, it even makes it worse in my mind.
And not even for yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what is he? Does he believe so hard that he thinks God's gonna come save him?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just putting there's only 2 right now.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of them. So I'm just gonna write in the chat. Sentencing is death penalty.
You don't need to, because if someone's watching,
Yeah, but if they come in now, at least have the information.
you start from the beginning. That's how it works.
Does it?
Yeah.
We're not. We turned off DVR.
Do you have DVR on?
Turn it on.
I don't know what DVR is, but
It makes it so you can pause and skip forward and stuff like that. But yeah, so anybody that's coming in now, we just heard.
yeah, Twitter's exploding right now.
Yeah, we just heard the conclusion. So it's the death penalty.
Death penalty.
For
all
Chad Daybell.
counts.
All 6 counts.
All 6 counts,
Yeah.
and now they're awaiting the verdict for the insurance fraud.
Right. So they're going to do a special meeting. That's what we're going to come back to in about 30 minutes. Is information on the insurance fraud, sentencing as well. Yeah, I was actually expecting Monday. I really was.
It's very quick for a death penalty.
But I think they just were like, I think they probably figured it out last night and just like, let's sleep and then finish this up in the morning kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a feeling that wasn't even a question.
I mean, it was such a horrible case and the prosecution did such a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that no one stood up for him to plead his case, not to put him to death, even himself.
Yeah. Because if I would think that the children would have demanded it. But I wonder if he says no, I don't want anything, then that's done. Like nobody could talk even if they wanted to. It's just a question.
He's so controlling that he just controls their lives. So
yeah, and that's kind of my idea about it too. So I think it's a lot of different reasons that he might have done this, but after hearing the lawyer speak about it, I have this. The fact that he did that means that he can't appeal it because there was nothing said for the witness. There was nothing said for him, and he's basically skipped it. So
he's become
a martyr.
The martyr. Are you okay?
I'm just something caught my eye, but yeah, I'm fine. Was I just like?
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's become the martyr in this story.
Yeah. So I can't remember what I was going to say. You said something that kind of triggered like another thought that I had about.
Well, he's definitely going to appeal. I mean, that's just what happens.
Yeah. Well, everybody does.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so we shouldn't think anything good or bad about it.
it's just like asking to, as soon as the prosecution is over, everyone asks to dismiss the charges, saying they didn't have
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
So that's
They
just
start
part of-
with dismissing the charges. Like
Right.
that's step one.
But he's definitely going to appeal. But he's going to death row. So death row in the prison system, that means he's going to be in lockdown for 23.5 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know how Idaho is.
I wonder. Can you look it up? See what
Yeah.
Idaho death row is like?
Yeah.
Maybe
absolutely.
there's something in there that
There'd be a picture. It'd be, hey, we're waiting for you, Chad.
and how many people are on death row in Idaho?
Yeah.
I don't have my glasses. We kind of ran up here
So
after shopping.
I do know that from the research we were looking at other 8 people
There's
on death
8.
row.
Okay.
Yeah. So 9 people now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most have been there for more than 2 decades.
Yeah, he's going to be there for a long time.
Similar to death row inmates in other states. Okay. Let's take a look here. Pictures. There was something I was gonna say. And I can't remember.
You were talking about the lawyer, and appealing and
Right, and it had to do with why he would have not
testified.
right, or that's what it was. I remember now. Is it because there was only 2 people that would have testified for him?
Yeah, and they already got on the stand and did that.
Yep. So did he just not have anybody else, and he was like, I'm not going to show that? That might have been one of the things that swayed his decision.
He could have testified for himself. He could have gone up there like Lori and said,
This is all Lori's fault.
This is all her fault. I didn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't kill me for something I didn't do.
Yeah.
They did this. I know you found me guilty because all the evidence looks like I did it, but I didn't do it. But he didn't do any of that. He allowed Pryor to go up and say all that stuff for him, but we never heard from him. At least Lori showed her crazy on the sentencing, where she said, Tammy's my best friend, and she comes and visits me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there wasn't even. I wonder who would have said anything, and it's like, oh, the 2 people that are going to talk, everybody hates them because
they lied.
and or whatever he feels that they said or did. So, yeah, I'm really curious about.
Well, the Douglas family, Tammy's family, got up there and said they're complete and part of their witness impact, their victim impact, that the children have ostracized them completely.
Yeah.
Because they've taken his side. So there's 3 other children. There was one that was doing the Mormon mission now.
Right.
So, and the 3 that didn't testify, why didn't they get up there and plead for his life? If they were on his side, like the family says, why didn't they? There's so many questions. There's this whole story. We didn't get any answers. We didn't get any answers for how she died.
I think he was
Really?
like, I'm going to be guilty anyways. I'm going to go out on my own. I'm going to write my own narrative. I'm writing I'm writing my exit,
Wow.
That could be it too. Narcissistic kind of way to do it instead of,
Or he's a true believer and he believes that the end of the world is coming and that God's going to save him from this persecution. So maybe it's all just the persecution complex that's going on in his head.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But
He probably felt from the beginning that, there's
They
no way I can
deserve-
defend myself.
all these people deserve to die. And
Yeah, look at all the dark spirits around.
all these dark spirits, they deserve to die. And this world doesn't understand what I've been tasked with by God.
Yeah. People don't get me.
Yeah.
No, I think the problem is, dude, people get you very much.
Yeah.
And they don't like you.
Yeah.
I think that's more of the issue than anything else.
Did you look up what death row is like?
Yeah,
And
it looks horrible. It looks
Nice.
really horrible. Yeah.
Good.
So, yeah, I'm gonna switch these real quick here.
You can actually pull in pictures into the, I don't think we're set up to do really anything much else, but you like pull in pictures of death row into the
You
stream.
could actually do that. Give me a
Because I'm interested.
It's just not working the way I was hoping to.
Yeah, you lost our camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just trying to get it to swap. But, oh yeah, okay, so. It won't be pulling them in. I'll just look them up here. So they show these, but they also show, this was one of them.
Oh my goodness. Is that a real picture or is that like what they wished it was?
No, I think this is the real picture.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's no cozy cone, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that is so awesome. Are there more pictures in there?
These are just the, I don't think they can hear me. But these are the areas.
See if there's like pictures of the prison he's going to. Like search what prison he's going to.
This is where he's staying during the trial. Shows like a Boise jail ahead. In the county. It just says where they moved him to. And that's it.
So look up what prison is death row in Idaho.
Yeah, that picture feels like it was sensationalized.
Yeah. Idaho. The Kuna, Idaho.
Maximum Security Institution near Kuna.
See if there's pictures of that. Yeah, that seems better than the one they yeah. That would have been awesome if that really was
It
like
was just hopeful
it was
thinking, right?
hopeful.
Yeah. There you go.
Mm.
That is what.
Yep.
This. There you go.
Okay.
So it is a tiny opening.
Yeah.
Sink that doubles as a toilet.
Hmm.
That actually could be it. Look.
Yeah.
It's so hard to tell because that could be the mental one as well. But
Not death row.
so
That looks like it on the left. That. But it doesn't show you the inside.
that's kind of what I was hoping too.
Was inside pictures. And then, so that means after tonight, he gets transported directly to prison.
Correct.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Process.
Because prison is a whole other world than jail, than the county jails. That looks right.
This is Fort Leavenworth, but
Oh, that's a military prison.
yeah, but that looks about the same as that's a pretty contemporary prison
Mm-hmm.
room. So that's what he'll be. Door will have a slit. He might not have a window, but I think the interior will be about that.
Is it?
What's up?
Just amazing that someone's so horrible that feels that they're so righteous and wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. And what I'm most curious about is the 5, 10, 15 year, because there's going to be like interviews with him in prison.
Do you think he's going to do that? I don't think he's going to do that.
Well, he might not. What I'm more interested in is like what his if his attitude changes, because as the time comes and goes for the end of the world, maybe he will come to reality. I doubt it. I really doubt it. I'm just really try hard to find that there could be some solace of humanity in him.
I think he feels like he's the martyr, that he didn't do it. I think Alex
totally agree with you.
Alex did the horrible deed. He's not the one that actually did the violence.
Right.
So he feels he's justified.
Right. And that could also be the thing too, is that he was shaking his head no, like the body doesn't have to die.
Such a weird spot to be shaking your head no.
I know. Not on anything else. Yeah, because it was the one thing that if you could prove that was incorrect, then you could prove that there was no murder intent. So that was actually, if you think about it, everything hinged on his teachings equal the body has to die.
And I think of bless you. More. That's so funny. Like
Sorry,
we thought pollen season was over, but
it came back with a vengeance.
Yeah,
so everybody that came on, I'm sure by now you've heard the conclusion to the sentencing. So what is y'all's thoughts about this? So
I can't believe it's over. Like I get a lump in my throat thinking that this is over.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years since we first heard of the children going missing.
Yeah.
And their crazy belief system and
Chad
and I still think about those Boudreaux children, how they narrowly missed. And someone, and I don't know who posted it or where it was, but Melanie Pulaski, Boudreaux, whatever, took out life insurance on those kids.
Yeah. That's the MO. You get life insurance on them.
Then you kill
Chad
them.
says that you kill them. They get the money. They, kill off the pot stirrer, take her land. And then, they live there with the plan, which was to murder everybody that Chad doesn't want and create this utopia of sex slaves. Sorry. I mean, what else is he going to do? Because he's killing everybody else off. So.
And he's killing children.
Yeah.
Like, why would you kill children in a religion that
is all about having as many as possible?
Having children, lots of children. Yeah. And this is, we were talking about this morning. Why didn't he just take Lori as a second wife?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he had so much control of that family and so much control of Tammy. He could have just said, we're going back old school. We're going what fundamental, as Pryor kept saying, we're going fundamental, and I'm going to take a second wife.
He just an old school fundamental
Mormon.
Mormon living on a farm.
That would have saved everything.
Yeah.
He would have convinced her to do it.
Because it was about money.
It was about money.
And I think that's the thing that I keep forgetting too, is that the money thing was probably, I wouldn't say the most important. I would say their belief was the most important. Second was money. And the money was for this, way that the religion was moving.
Yeah.
So you can't have one, without the other. So what they needed was money and funding so that they could be married.
And so if Charles wouldn't have changed the life insurance, maybe the kids would still be alive. Because Charles changed the life insurance to someone else.
No. I personally, I don't think so. I think that Charles would have died. They would have gotten the money, and then it would have just been like, "Oh, that worked." If if we believe that Tylee knew about the murder, then it wouldn't have changed anything. And I think more importantly, because Tylee was not an obedient child that did everything Chad said,
Right.
that was the real reason she died.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because if you remember that text, or I think it was a text.
Tylee doesn't like me.
Well, no, she cleaned her room, so
Yeah.
she's being taken over.
Right.
And she was being nice to people.
And he said Tylee didn't like me.
Yeah, and Tylee doesn't like me, and the pot stirrer doesn't read my books.
Yeah.
So it is literally whatever Chad feels about a person. That's it.
That's whether they deserve to.
Yeah.
And because those kids, the Boudreaux kids, were being kids.
And I will also venture to say that this is my opinion. And that's why I say the money was second. I feel that it was okay. I don't like this person. They're dark energy. They're dark spirit. They're zombies. Whatever that is. The mental gymnastics is in their own head. Well, since they're dead anyways, they're already gone. Why don't we benefit from this?
Mm-hmm.
So let's up their life insurance.
Yeah.
So, like,
did Alex Cox have life insurance? There's so many questions.
No, because he was never a dark spirit. I don't think they did life insurance, then dark spirit. I think they did dark spirit, then life insurance. That's what I mean. I still feel that from everything I've seen, his reactions to everything, and her reactions, that they're believers of the plan and everything else. I mean, listen to the recordings in the in the prison. They're not saying anything about this not being real. They're talking about this is the plan. This is what we're moving forward to. Are we sure that this plan is working the way we expected? Not is the plan not working, but maybe we need to tweak the plan a little bit. And he's like, no, this is all working the way it's supposed to. That is true belief. That is not. They're not talking about how to get out of this. They're talking about things are progressing.
I wonder what the plan actually was.
So
that the world came to an end, that they took the pot stirrer's land, and
I'm gonna say that both lawyers was right about the plan. That Chad's idea was that he was going to create this post-apocalyptic utopia where all of the light spirits, everybody that is light is going to come and
they come to Rexburg,
right,
on the pot stirrer's land,
right, right. But I also think too that part of the plan was getting rid of anybody that's dark. And if I'm going to go live on a commune with a bunch of people, I want to make sure that the people that I like and they're not dark.
And that obey me. Unconditionally.
Yeah. And he's probably not saying this outwardly, but, and probably not even his own head. What he might have even seen it as, and this is all total conjecture.
Because that's all we have.
That's all we have.
We got nothing.
That's all we have. I'm trying to put myself into like what his thinking might be because of his attitude. His behavior is just odd.
His behavior is so weird. I mean, even like, I want to go back and look at the Warren Jeffs behavior.
Yeah.
For another cult leader.
Yeah.
Like, how did Warren Jeffs act?
But he had a bunch of people there like screaming and crying over him.
Oh, yeah.
So,
he had
so
his
that's
whole plan there.
And that's a totally different thing. When you have all of the people there saying that you're the best, then you can act differently.
Yeah.
But he had nobody there.
And so look at the other cult leader that was just Jody Hildebrandt. Like, Jody Hildebrandt did what Chad should have done in the beginning. She just pled guilty. She was like, I'm guilty. That's it.
Yeah, because I know this goes to trial. Even though everybody's wrong, I'm going to go to jail for this because you're perceiving everything wrong.
And that's what he could have done too.
Yeah.
He could have taken the Jody Hildebrandt way.
Yeah.
Of saying, oh, I'm just going to plead guilty to help everyone, but they're all wrong.
Yeah.
I'm still the victim. I'm still the martyr here.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
And then he didn't. And then on top of it, he didn't. So if he was using this platform as a way to preach to all of us dark spirits, that didn't happen either. We still have no idea what he believed.
Yeah, but the important thing is that you saw Chad stand steadfast in front of all the evil spirits.
Yep.
Never blink and never waver.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
probably what's going on in his head again.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
If you take this, so take this from the standpoint.
Like the Bible
Yeah.
story. Okay, so there's a Bible story, and honestly, it's been decades since
Lion's Den.
There's the Lion's Den,
Mhm.
but there's also where somebody threw somebody in a fire pit
Mhm.
or like a bonfire or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And they survived the fire.
Yeah.
And they were just standing there cool. And the king came and was like, "Oh, look, these people that were in the fire."
And that
They
was
were
the
condemned
inventor of
to death.
asbestos.
Yeah. And they were in the fire. There was 3 of them. I don't know if this is right, but the names Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego come to my head, but I don't know if that's right.
Oh, those are
Or
great
that's-
names either.
I know.
That's like a rock band name.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Like those 3
Yeah.
names come to my head. It feels like a story that was drilled into me because it's
Yeah.
part of that persecution porn.
Oh, right.
Okay, so like the king or the high ruler or whatever put them into a fire, and they survived the fire,
Mhm.
and they were steadfast to Yahweh,
Mhm.
the God,
Mhm. And survive.
and survived because they were steadfast and holy.
Right.
And you're right.
Let's
That's
forget about the other
his-
10,000, Christians that were killed.
Well, they weren't Christian. They were Jewish, serving the one true God, the one true Jewish God, and they were thrown into the fire by what were the bad people in the Bible? The Canaanites.
Everybody else.
I don't know. I forget who the bad people were in the Bible.
Not Christian people.
Not of that one particular Jewish tribe.
Yeah.
And that was the story
Mhm.
that was told to me from child, that you need to.
Because we know you're going to get persecuted because what we're teaching you is going to sound crazy to people outside. So
Right.
they're going to persecute you. So
And I know the
Let's just
Mormons
prep them
have
for it.
all of that for Joseph Smith. What'd you
Mhm.
call him? John Smith?
John Smith.
John Smith.
John Joseph Smith.
John Joseph Smith.
His name is my name too.
Right. Uh, the most milquetoast name ever. John Joseph Smith.
John Toast Smith. John Mayonnaise Smith.
I was listening to, I think now that we're like distance, we can kind of make jokes about all this shit because it's so gross. And
Come on, yeah.
he's going away. He's going to death row.
Yeah.
He's going to be in prison. for,
Okay, I'm just going to say this. I don't think it's going to happen, but unless it wins appeal for
Yeah.
some reason, I'm just saying it could happen, but I seriously don't think so. I think they kind of buttoned this one up pretty good.
I think Judge Boyce and the whole community, I think they've done such a good job. And it's really kind of crazy because you see these other court cases like here in Atlanta, the YSL court case.
YSL.
I mean, these people are like off their rocker, and you're like, this is Fulton County with 4 million people that live in this county, and these prosecutors are like,
Crazy?
yeah,
Yeah.
not professional. And
Yeah.
then like you've got these Idahoans in the middle of nowhere, and they are super professional on top of it and did their jobs.
Yeah. So we actually met hey, Irene. Guten Tag. How are you? So have you heard the news? I'm sure that you have, joining the stream.
And right now we're just waiting for the second verdict to come down for insurance fraud.
Not verdict. Second
sentencing. The second sentencing for insurance fraud.
Yes.
Which means in the States from Germany, if you are, the way that it works here in
Ooh.
the States.
She's waiting. So, okay. Maybe you've missed it then? Is that...
Yeah, you may want to go back and watch it, but go ahead.
Yeah. So Chad Daybell has death penalty. So he's getting the death penalty for 6 charges. And that's including the deaths of JJ, Tylee, and Tammy.
Mm-hmm. And right now we're waiting for insurance. And the way that it works is that when you're in prison, you get so much money for working certain jobs, and a large portion of that money goes to pay back the insurance company. So that's why this charge is important, because if he makes 70 cents an hour or whatever the rate is, that means he only gets 20 cents for that hour. The other 50 cents goes back to pay restitution back to the insurance company. It's nothing, but
I know.
when you're in the prison system, but and I think
You're working 12 hours a day. Yeah.
whatever money Emma puts into his account, that gets taken, like a portion of that gets taken to the insurance company. So sorry.
You got a
Irene.
message from
Yeah.
Twixter.
Yeah. Twitter's blowing up. Yeah. I mean, we were in the Asian market when we got news on Twitter that the sentencing was coming down. So we're like,
we gotta hurry.
throwing everything in the basket, running, trying to get back home. Good thing we were at a close one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And we were trying to stay close to home. So this is an important verdict too, just for his quality of life, because sometimes people can go in with a ton of money and their quality of life in prison is
okay. I wouldn't say great, but okay.
Not great, but
yeah,
it's okay. But if a large portion of the money that you get in prison gets taken away, also maybe if Emma benefited from some of that insurance, they may go after her for that money back also.
She did. So do you remember the conversation in the car? There's $90,000, and that was all of Tammy's the death
insurance
and
money.
death insurance. Yeah, thank you. Life insurance, death insurance. Jeez, the life insurance, and he also put $9,000 in her account after like Social Security,
he did that for all of the children. So yeah.
So he was just handing out money to them.
So I don't know if the insurance company can go after them also. It seems like they should be able to.
Yeah, it's a good question. That's a good question. I'm surprised that there's not more people going after them for other things too. Like is there going to be an investigation for, lying under oath, perjury? Like
I don't think so, but you never know. I mean, this prosecution team, they're good
because
for never having done this.
She seemed almost pissed of what she was saying. So it almost felt that she took that personal, and I don't blame her. I would have too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested to see. Like, I think the next 4 to 5 years is going to be interesting, because I really, stories like this, they never end.
Oh, no. And both Garth and Emma are school teachers.
Wait a minute, Garth is a school teacher too?
He's a school teacher too. So I think like that, for them both to be school teachers and to get up and testify the way they did.
Yeah, and they stored money in Mark's room, who was on the mission.
Yeah.
God.
So I don't know about the other three children. I think by them distancing themselves, I think they may have saved themselves. But Emma and Garth, I think they need to have social repercussions for what they've done.
Yeah.
And then the way that Emma was making those faces and had such disregard for the children, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah. And we've always had this discussion.
Thank you. Please be seated.
We're back, guys.
Why is he joking around now?
All right, we're back on the record on CR 22-21-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Daybell, concluding the special sentencing hearing that's being conducted, where the court intends to sentence the defendant on the counts in the amended indictment, including the insurance fraud counts. Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Very well, Mr. Bailiff, if you'd please have the jurors brought in.
Yes, Your Honor. All right, please. Jury's all present and accounted for, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we are back on the record on CR 2221-1623, continuing the special sentencing proceeding. The jury has returned its special verdict. The court would note that pursuant to Idaho Code 18-4004, which is the punishment for murder statute in Idaho, that crime in murder of the first degree can be punished by death. And under Idaho Code 192515 subsection 7A, that states that if the jury finds that a statutory aggravating circumstance exists and no mitigating circumstances exist, which would make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the defendant will be sentenced to death by the court. The court's reviewed the findings of the jurors in the special verdict form. They've taken their time through these deliberations to return that verdict. And so the court will proceed with sentencing first on counts 1 through 6. And again, this is an unusual hearing because the sentencing hearing's already been taking place. We've heard from the victims through impact statements and arguments from counsel. That's already taken place. In addition, a pre-sentence investigation report is not to be ordered in these hearings, so the court does not reference that. The court then orders as follows, and this will be contained in the court's judgment at the conclusion of the case. As to count 1, the conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception for the murder of Tylee Ryan upon the jury's finding of guilty and return of the special verdict form, the jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the court therefore, on count 1, the defendant is sentenced to death. On count 2, the first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan, the jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the court therefore, on count 2, sentences the defendant to death. On count 3, the conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception for the murder of J.J. Vallow, the jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the court therefore, on count 3, sentences the defendant to death. On count 4, first-degree murder of J.J. Vallow, the jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the court therefore, on count 4, sentences the defendant to death. On count 5, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell, the jury having found beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the court therefore, on count 5, sentences the defendant to death. On count 6, the first-degree murder charge, the murder of Tammy Daybell, the jury having found beyond a reasonable doubt and returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the court therefore, on count 6, sentences the defendant to death. The court's next going to take up counts 7 and 9 on the insurance fraud counts. Before I do that, from the state, are there any questions regarding the court's judgment as it relates to counts 1 through 6?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Questions from the defense?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, moving on to insurance fraud, then the court will note that I am required to go through a sentencing proceeding on this. These are separate counts that have not been determined in the special verdict form by the jurors. Some brief procedural history. Mr. Daybell was charged by amended indictment with counts 7 and 9 insurance fraud under Idaho Code 41293, which is a felony. Mr. Daybell pled not guilty to those counts on June 9th, 2021. Thereafter, this trial was held, and as part of the findings of the jury in their verdict, they did find the defendant guilty of both of those counts. The court has considered, in lieu of a pre-sentence investigation report, the information that I've heard throughout this trial. I also heard information regarding these charges in the previous trial held last year against co-defendant Lori Vallow. I've also heard information received during the special sentencing proceeding relating to those counts as well, and have considered that information in lieu of a pre-sentence investigation report. And I'll also note the defendant waived the pre-sentence investigation report and is permitted to do that, and the court can allow that under Criminal Rule 32A. At this time then, before I move forward with the sentencing on counts 7 and 9, I will inquire of the state. Is the state wishing to make any sentencing recommendation as it relates to count 7 or 9?
And Your Honor, just for clarification, were the insurance frauds count 8 and 9?
As listed in the amended indictment, they are listed as counts 7 and count 9.
Okay. Thank you. Co-counsel just clarified for me on that. Your Honor, the state is prepared to make a statement. First, I would indicate for the record that in relation to the sentencing hearing, the sentencing portion handled yesterday, the state did make our best attempts to reach out to all statutory victims to allow them the opportunity to be heard by the court. And those that the court heard from yesterday were the ones that had wished to make impact statements. While not directly related to the insurance fraud, I did just want to make a clear record of that. In relation to the insurance fraud charges, in light of the sentence that has been imposed by this court and by the recommendation of the jury in relation to the other charges, the state would indicate we think that the victim statements covered everything the state could say. While the insurance charges again are attenuated to it, we've lost 3 individuals that the state can do nothing to bring them back. And so the best we can do is move forward in seeking justice on their behalves. In relation to the insurance counts themselves, given the sentences, we would recommend this court impose jail time and have that, or prison time, impose a sentence and run it concurrent with the imposition of the other sentence by this court. I believe they carry up to 15 years in prison. We'd recommend they run concurrent with each other and with the imposition of death in this case. We would also recommend restitution in the amount of $130,000 to LifeMap and $300,000 to Primerica. As part of that, we would also recommend a waiver of any fines or court costs in this matter in order to allow restitution to be paid if any money is available to go towards that.
All right, thank you for the state's sentencing recommendations. Mr. Pryor, does the defense wish to make sentencing recommendations as to, I'll do them collectively, counts 7 and 9, the insurance fraud counts?
No, Judge, there's nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, is there any objection to the requested restitution amounts of $130,000 and $300,000?
Judge, we may need to set that out at this point, but I'll let the court know if that changes.
All right, I'll permit 30 days for the scheduling of a contested hearing on restitution. If that becomes an issue, we could conduct that hearing most likely remotely on a Zoom hearing if it becomes an issue. At this time, I will ask, because I need to on these counts. Before I impose any sentence, Mr. Daybell, you do have the right of allocution, which permits you to make a statement on your own behalf in any mitigation of these offenses. Is there any statement you would like to make before I proceed with sentencing on those counts?
No.
Very well. The court then, having considered the information previously referenced, finds that pursuant to Idaho Code 41293, which under subsection 4 indicates a penalty of up to 15 years of prison. On each of those two counts, the court is going to impose a prison sentence of 15 years. So a 15-year sentence will be imposed on count 7. The court will take under advisement the issue of restitution requested by the state. The court will not impose any fines. The court also will impose a 15-year prison sentence on count 9. Also pursuant to the same statute, take under advisement the issue of restitution. The court will note in imposing these prison sentences that I have reviewed Idaho Code 192521, which requires me to go through certain criteria about the imposition of a prison sentence versus a possibility of parole or a lesser sentence. And I would note that the rationale for the prison sentences is that these are intertwined with the murder charges for which the death penalty has been imposed on those counts. And when the court looks at the sentencing factors under 1925-21, I would note in mitigation that Mr. Daybell has been incarcerated an extensively long time in local jail and has a previous law-abiding history, and I have considered that. I've also considered that he's always conducted himself respectfully, from what I've heard from all of the jailers that have ever interacted with him over the years that he's been incarcerated for these charges. However, the court finds under Idaho Code 2521 also that any lesser sentence would depreciate the seriousness of these offenses because this life insurance was obtained based on the murders of individuals and procuring life insurance payouts unlawfully. And because of that, it's the most serious of offense, that circumstance that could lead to that. In addition, imprisonment will provide an appropriate punishment and deterrent for the defendant and others, and will also be a deterrent for the community as well. So the court having then concluded with the sentencing on that, I will not order any fines because the defendant's previously been deemed indigent and has received the death penalty on these murder counts, and find it would be futile to have an order of fines in the case. So with those remarks, then the court typically would address the defendant further, but in this special sentencing proceeding, the victim impact statements and the evidence has already demonstrated on the record, I think, the seriousness of what's occurred. And I don't find any reason to further delve into the court's rationale other than what was listed in the statute. So unless there's anything further, that will conclude the sentencing, but I will address the post-conviction issues that need to be addressed at this time. Does the state have anything further then on the sentence and count 7 and count 9?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Daybell, in this case, given the sentence that was imposed in counts 1 through 6, there's a special appellate and post-conviction procedure for capital cases, and an automatic stay may be in effect. There's a statute that's Idaho Code 192719 that sets out certain deadlines. I am providing you and counsel with a courtesy copy of that statute, but I will note a few of the deadlines that are listed in there. Under subsection 1, when the punishment of death is imposed, the time for filing an appeal shall begin to run when the death warrant is filed. Number 2, the death warrant shall not be filed until 42 days after the judgment imposing the death sentence has been filed. Number 3, within 42 days of the filing of the judgment imposing the punishment of death, the defendant must file any legal or factual challenges to the sentence of conviction. There's other important and critical deadlines that are contained within that statute, and I am going to provide a copy of that to Mr. Pryor to ensure that the defense is well advised of those post-conviction rights that would apply in this special proceeding. I'll also note that there's an additional rule, Idaho criminal rule. If you'll give me a moment, I think it's 44.2. Criminal Rule 44.2, and that's the mandatory appointment of counsel for post-conviction review after imposition of the death penalty. That rule is also applicable in your case, and a copy of the rule itself is going to be provided to you in counsel to ensure that you're well aware of any post-conviction rights you may have. With that, then, the court is going to conclude the special sentencing proceeding. Is there anything further I need to take up from the state?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your abiding by the court's courtroom conduct order. We'll be in recess.
All right. Thank you all.
Yeah, Judge Boyce has some clear tells, which is so funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
But
to
he
go
is
back
a
and look at
great-
that.
He is a great judge.
Yeah.
For East Idaho country, he is fabulous.
I would say for big city,
Yeah.
he's fabulous. Like I think everybody has handled themselves extremely well.
He's not like the judge in Idaho or
Or here in Atlanta.
Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we had started talking about the YSL judge, like they're all,
Okay, are they gonna put him in handcuffs and take him away?
oh, that would be so nice to see. We haven't seen any of that. They cut the stream like before they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no more nose up in the air.
Yep, they cut it.
Oh, great. Flipping out. Thank you so much. That was so kind of you. Yeah, we had started the channel like 3 months ago, but about 2 months ago, my wife had lost her job, so we were like, let's put this negative into a positive and go full force into it. Yeah, I got it. There we go.
Any last comments?
Last comments. Oh my God. I would like to say that I'd be happy not to see Chad's face anymore.
Yeah,
It's,
I know. I feel like he's been in my dreams
oh God.
since I got laid off, April 18th.
Yeah.
He's been
Yeah.
on a TV screen
Oh my God.
since then, and today it's over. So now I don't know what to do with my time.
Yeah, Irene, I don't know. That's actually a good question. Yeah, he didn't stand up, and it's, we were kind of discussing things when the court was in session, but one of the things that I was referring to is I think bad dreams of slugs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think is that Chad is a true believer. So I'll have to say it's like his order is his religion first, money second, probably a close first and second. But I really think that the money was, well, these people are going to die anyways, so we might as well make some money off of a bad situation.
And the only time he actually showed any interest during the whole case was when the financial analyst came in.
Yeah. It's like, hey, how's my cryptocurrency doing?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when the forensic financial analyst came in and we're going over the details, he was really watching and paying attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Every other time he was kind of like looking the way he normally does, just sits there and doesn't look. But when the
Yeah.
financial analyst was there, he was like really paying attention,
Yeah, exactly.
which is a clear tell that money is so important to him and what one of the motivators to this.
Right. So but to kind of answer your question about he sat down. So either one of two things. One, either that's a rule of the court that at the end he remains seated until he is let out. And I will tell you that we were watching videos on his body language, and a body language expert was talking about, Chad specifically, and how everything about him is a matter of control.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's doing something, there's either a reason for it or he was told to do it. But everything he does is, measured and practiced.
Yeah.
So if he remains seated, there's a reason for it. And I'll be willing to bet that Pryor told him, don't stand up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. I
You got to read it because I can't.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, he was interested in the money, but right after sex, and don't forget about the power. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, if you think about his beliefs, it was kind of a roll up of all of that. It was definitely power and the sex from the beliefs is what he got out of it. And that's why I think he was such a big believer, was that what I'm saying is making a difference. Like, I'm in his life, not anybody else's life, but that his, that what he's been teaching and telling everybody is getting him more power. And now he's got this hot blonde that's after him. Well, in his mind, again, I'm trying to be in his mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause I don't consider her that, but
No, she's very attractive. I mean,
I don't think she is. I really don't.
Mm.
I really don't think she is. I think she might have been at one time, but not in any other pictures I've ever seen. She's
Well, you only saw prison pictures.
no, I
but-
saw her in Hawaii, and
Oh, okay.
I saw all the other pictures that everybody else has shown, and yeah, I mean she's in Idaho 6.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep telling that joke.
It got old last stream.
It did not.
All right. Any last questions?
Oh, last questions.
No, on there. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. We got
right.
about 8 people watching, and so let's just do a quick recap, before we sign off, that he's guilty on all charges and he has the death penalty.
And he's going to prison tonight, which is going to be a whole different experience than the county jail he was in.
Yeah.
And that I want to see video of that, of him being transported into prison.
Oh, it's going to be that's going to be everywhere.
Oh, that's a beautiful sight.
Because it made CNN like on the front news.
Mhm.
So that's,
This was one of those pandemic stories that we were all involved in.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to prison.
Does everybody think, or you think, that the COVID virus kind of pushed the plan?
No,
quicker?
it had nothing to do with the plan. This all happened in 2019.
Oh.
What happened is this was delayed so long because of COVID.
Interesting.
That's why we're 5 years out.
And that's the reason why she didn't get death penalty, was because, well, they didn't have enough time with her case to put the case so it went past the steps.
It was, probably a mistake or something. I don't know. She should have gotten the death penalty for that.
Yeah, Irene, so Irene's asking, hope to watch more. Which case are we working on next?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know. Do you have any suggestions where?
Well, so the one we're looking at right now, but it's going to be a while before it goes to trial, is the Soldiers of Christ.
Soldiers of Christ.
Which is local to us, in the same county that we live. Karen Reed. Yeah.
I'll write that down.
Yeah. Karen Reed's an interesting one too. From what I remember, and I know very little about it because.
What is that, Karen Reed?
Oh God. It's a murder trial, and I know it's on trial right now, flipping out. Is that correct? That, and there's like a lot going on. Like I saw like screenshots.
Oh, is this the suitcase lady?
Interesting.
No.
Flipping out. Is that what's the story behind Karen Reed?
Sorry, I don't have my glasses. This would be really hard.
Yeah, we both don't have our glasses on, so we're just like.
We like jumped on and we're like.
Yeah, the Karen Reed trial is in complete chaos. That's what I heard, right? Mother, that's one of the things that Irene was talking about, was that he didn't stand for the jury. But I also, the cop boyfriend, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think we're probably too late for.
Yeah, we might be too late to that. Yeah. But Mother of Hens, is that your name? Is Mother? Yeah, Mother of Hens.
That's a great
That's a
name.
great name. Yeah, framed by cops or Karen ran him over.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, we talked about that, but I think we're kind of too late on the game for that one.
We might be, yeah. So maybe we'll look into it as well.
We could do the sentencing.
Do another
one.
sentencing.
But we don't know enough. Like, we knew a lot about the Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow case.
This one seems like it's not as complicated as Chad Daybell case, the Karen Reed one. It's more of just.
No, it's very complicated.
It is complicated.
And it's a good mystery, too.
Gotcha.
It's one of those really good mysteries.
Gotcha. Sarah Boone.
Sarah Boone is the suitcase crazy. So maybe we might do, because that is funny. Like, she is crazy.
Yeah.
And she killed her boyfriend by putting him in a suitcase.
Before or after he was dead?
Before.
Wow.
She killed him in a suitcase.
Wow.
And she filmed it while he was dying.
Holy shit.
She's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
No, like.
Yeah.
She keeps firing her attorneys, and now she wants a new attorney. I mean, it's just off the walls crazy. There's no great mystery there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very clear.
Yeah.
What happened because she filmed it. But I think in the Karen Reed one, that's a really good mystery.
Yeah.
That's a good murder mystery. What happened? Did the cops frame her? What happened?
So is Sarah not sentenced yet? I think it sounds like they're still trying to figure out who's going to represent her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because she's like off the walls in Crazy Town. And then on top of it, she would give different messages to different people, like tell people different things. And then they found the whole video of it on her phone. And she's still saying she's not guilty.
Wow.
Because she said she was blackout drunk when it happened.
Yeah, but what's her excuse now?
Yeah.
She's still blackout drunk?
She's been blackout drunk
since the 80s.
Yeah. Well, we will take any recommendations because I got nothing to do now. So.
Oh, we have plenty to do, but we want to. What we definitely want to do, like, continue the live streaming. Especially, we love the interactions between everybody because it's been great.
Yeah.
So and a lot of support too, which has been really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll look into what other trials are going on, and maybe what we'll do is start like a questionnaire on our community tab. So see what people want, like what they think. So keep your eye out for that, and give some ideas on what we can look at next. We will do our research as well. We're not going to just totally rely on you guys telling us what is out there, but and especially if it has the LISC. How about LISC?
Or any like international ones too.
Oh, that's interesting. What is LISC? Do you know?
I don't know that.
Yeah, Irene, what is LISC? I need to know.
Irene is in Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah. So any European stuff. Actually, we should start trolling the international, like who's...
I'm surprised there's not more stuff coming from like Japan, like crazy cult.
Korea right now is
that is
true. The most cults are coming out of Korea at this point.
Yeah.
More than Japan.
Because you got the two right now. You've got the 7M cult, and then you have the Soldiers of Christ cult as well. And I think you were asking about that. Irene, you were asking about the Soldiers of Christ. So in Gwinnett County, which is in Georgia, serial killer from Long Island. Oh, the one that was,
the Bilbo Beach killer,
so the Soldiers of Christ was a Korean church, basically here in Gwinnett County, and they lured an individual from Korea, basically saying you can come stay with us and get your life in order, and then tortured and murdered her. Took the body, put it in the back of a car, and left it at a Korean spa, which is about 10 minutes away from our house.
Yeah, and it's the spa that I go to.
And it's the spa she goes to all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So that's another one too, because the whole idea was that, you get salvation through torture. That, once you went through the torture, you came out as this enlightened individual. So, there could be some interesting tidbits on that one as well.
Yep.
So, and with it being so close, it kind of hits home. So we're going to definitely be following that. Oh, you just, flipping out, just moved from DeKalb City, Georgia to St. Louis.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Nice. How do you like St. Louis? Yeah. Yeah, Irene, is it close to your home? Stay safe.
Yeah, right. We're not going to join any cults anytime soon.
Well, they're a bit chilly. Yeah, flipping out. St. Louis, I would imagine. And Irene, unless they're coming around our house with paintball guns, I don't think we have much to worry about anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm not going to join that cult.
Yeah. Yeah. I think us joining a cult would be on the low end of the spectrum right now.
That's not going to happen. Low end of probability.
And hey, and guys too, if you have a maybe not a cult that's in trial right now, but like just a cult that you want us to look up, that is like what I love doing. I love doing like these deep dives into cults and how they started. And Corey Richins poisoned her husband. Do you know? I think I know about that one.
Oh, is that another Mormon? That's another Mormon that she couldn't divorce. And so she gave him that's a good murder mystery.
Yeah.
Where she gave him the fentanyl. And was he a drug addict? Was he not a drug addict? Who gave him the fentanyl?
Oh,
Did it come from her?
That's an interesting one.
And then you throw in the Mormon beliefs on top of it because she can't divorce and she gets the money.
And then she wrote a children's book on grieving.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
It's a good murder mystery.
Yeah.
It's like, who did it?
Yeah. So, but we just did a podcast on Aum Shinrikyo, the sarin gas cult in Japan, that one was scary. That's probably the scariest cult that I've ever done research on. So a lot of the other ones, I mean, that's including Jonestown. So that one will be coming out as well soon when we have that discussion. And what's our next release that we're bringing out on Monday?
Soldiers of Christ.
That's the Soldiers of Christ. Okay. So on Monday we'll be doing like this our preliminary podcast on Soldiers of Christ as well. Yeah. Irene, okay, so Irene asks, why are so many crimes happening that somehow include Mormons?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's because the culture of Mormonism is really interesting. The religion teaches that anyone can be a prophet and anyone can have
anyone or any man.
Anyone.
Okay.
Because you've got Jody Hildebrandt, who was also receiving messages from God. And so because anyone in the church can receive messages from God, then they can be the ones to disseminate that additional message. So that's why it's kind of it's a culture within a culture, a cult within a cult, because people are already conditioned to obey the church, and then someone comes along and says, I received a special message from God, or like in the Jody Hildebrandt, Ruby Franke, they had those pen papers where they were receiving those messages from God.
With their thruples.
And because the church teaches that, and then they build their base based off of the Mormon church. And also the Mormon church has such strange religious beliefs around marriage, where men can have multiple wives in some instances, but the women can't. And divorce is really frowned upon. So divorce is not an option.
Yeah.
So like where Lori, 2 of her husbands ended up dead.
Under mysterious
circumstances. And there's a dentist, I think, who murdered his wife because he wanted to go live with he wanted to marry his girlfriend. So instead of divorce, you have to murder them. So it's a cultural thing.
They put the cult in cultural.
Yeah, they put the cult in cultural. And then you've got all of the fundamentalist LDS that are under Warren Jeffs that had the multiple wives and that were abusing the children, and all of them ended up, and then their kids come out and they're all messed up.
Yeah.
It's like this perpetual thing.
And that was the weird thing for me, was the fact that in one instance, Pryor was trying to distance himself from the church. Then the second phase saying he's a traditional fundamentalist Mormon practitioner, to the third phase saying the Mormon church did this.
Yeah. Like he just like took everything and was like,
Yeah.
like there was no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
He tried it all.
Yeah.
He didn't save his life in the end.
No. I think it was too much of an uphill battle. Yeah. Get a divorce and the courts have so much less to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Save
well,
the taxpayers a ton of freaking money.
But that's the thing, Irene, is that when it comes to a lot of religious organizations, there's so much shame around something that shouldn't be shameful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that shame that stops people from doing having rational decisions about their lives. So they go irrational. Well, if I can't divorce, well, there's an easy way to take care of this.
Right, because I don't want to be with this person. I want to be with somebody else.
Yeah.
Instead of or what he could have done is just said, I'm going to take a second wife, which I think would have been a much better. Then you've got the money issue with him.
Yeah.
But there was another case.
We should just have the Beetlejuice method of divorce. Just say it 3 times.
Yeah.
Divorce.
Yeah. So there was a young woman about 20 years ago now who was Mormon, and her name is Elizabeth Smart.
Oh.
And she was abducted from her home, and they found her years later with this tiny cult guy who had abducted her and taken her as a second wife. And so she's done a lot of speaking about the culture of that shame, what you're talking about, that not teaching people what they need to know and overcoming that purity shame, and why she didn't speak out.
Yeah, and like Irene's asking, indeed, to blame the crimes or shame somehow. Yeah, and it might not even be direct either. There are a lot of religious groups, and we can only speak about the ones that we know about. I'm sure there's hundreds of other religions that are like, yeah, you're getting a divorce, who cares, But there's always different degrees within these religious organizations and within churches as well, as to how much they shame or not shame people, because it could be a doctrine, but they're kind of okay with it.
Well, it's really hard in Utah because in Utah, everyone's Mormon.
And everybody knows each other.
And everybody knows each other. Everyone's related, as you could see in this case.
Yeah.
And
this is Idaho.
Yeah. So everyone's related. Everyone knows each other. Everyone's Mormon. And it's just Mormons outside of Utah and Idaho are very different than they are in Utah and Idaho. Because it's not just religion, but it's family and culture and expectations and shame and
the religion kind of is the culture, right? And it's it's hard to separate.
Yeah,
those two. Yeah. So I was raised Southern Baptist, partly. So I was all over the place as far as religions went. Basically, my dad was always looking for
the perfect
church, not the perfect religion, the perfect church.
Perfect church.
Yeah. Because he was not big on like, oh, we've got to be this. Because I remember I got a Boy Scout badge for Episcopalian. No, Methodist. I had a choice. I could pick it, Methodist or Episcopalian as my badge. And basically my dad was like, well, as long as we believe in Jesus, that's all that matters. So it didn't matter to him what we were called. I can respect that. But yeah, he was looking for something very specific. We went to a lot of churches, and every single one of them was completely different. Like completely different. Like Southern Baptist was different from, it was almost a Universalist church we went to at one time, to and every single one had this different message and how much they pushed things or allowed things. And the odd thing was the Southern Baptist one was the most restrictive, but the preacher didn't exactly agree with it. So it was this weird thing, like you'd get out of church and I would hang with him and his family, and they would just be talking like normal. But as soon as you got in the church, it's like, oh, you can't dance, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't, like, there's so many rules when you went to church. But as soon as you went out and hung out with them, it was completely different. So it was this weird dichotomy of, you know, secular and non-secular lifestyles. Yeah, it was very odd. It was very odd. Yeah. Flipping out. Honestly, I'm glad to be out of the Bible Belt.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Much worse in Utah, though. Much worse.
Yeah. And, you know, at least here, there's, you know,
Well, we're
churches
in Metro Atlanta. Metro Atlanta is a little different.
I was going to say, like, well, there's churches everywhere, but you never get the sense of, like, that everybody goes to church and everybody looks at you weird.
Yeah, we lived in Birmingham for 6 months, and it was it was the Bible Belt, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was not great.
I don't even think they liked themselves there.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that we met, they were not friendly, which was odd because we assumed that, you know, in the South,
we're gonna be
it's
friendly.
known for their welcoming and, you know, friendliness, and that was not the case.
Nope. All right, Chad Daybell, sentenced to death, and we are at the end.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us.
And guys, we're gonna go drink profusely now. So
Yes. All right.
You guys have a great Saturday, and hope to hear from you soon.
Bye.
Bye.